Hi, this is Kathleen LaValle with Huntsville Tutoring Company. Today we are diving into ADHD and strategies and things you can use in your classroom and at home to help your child who is struggling to stay focused, whether they are hyperactive or not. These are strategies that I use with many of my students, with myself, and with my own child to try to keep us all on task. So first, I am going to show you that I put it in this other little bin today because I can't move the drawer. But I have a drawer in my big bookshelf back there that is filled with what I call like fidgets. And so if I have a student who comes in and you can tell they're just having trouble focusing, we do a variety of things. Sometimes we'll do a couple of jumping jacks just to get ourselves moving and ready before we even start. But a lot of times we'll say, hey, go open that bucket and pick something. So I'm just going to show you a few things that I have in my bucket. So you know how when you go to the checkout aisle at some stores and they have all this like cheap stuff that your kids always want and you're like, ugh, I'm not spending money on that. Well, guess what? About 6 months ago, I went to stores and I was looking for those cheap things because those are awesome fiddlers and they're cheap. So I went and I just looked around to see what I could find. This I think was from the dollar store, but it is pokey, but it's still kind of soft. And so they love squeezing it. And if you hit it hard enough, it lights up. So for this one, a lot of times I'll let them just hold it in their hand, and then when we finish a task, they can bounce it on the desk or the floor, and they enjoy seeing it light up. Again, super simple, but it's also rewarding, and it gives them something to fiddle with. These are wonderful. My mom had several of these when I was little, and we didn't know that this was something that would help me back then, but now I look back and think, man, we use those all the time. And now I know why, because they were so helpful for me. So for some kids, just the visual of this is they like having it. I have some that just like to look at it and they just constantly flip it back and forth. The rule is though, once you flip it over, it's got to stay until it's empty. And then once this side is empty, then you can flip it over. So I have some that just like them going and like to look at it. I also have some that we use this more as a timer. And so we do one activity until this is empty and then we flip it. And sometimes I'll say we'll flip it twice and then we'll switch activities, whatever. Just depends on what we're doing. I've done several posts about fidgets or about poppers before. Well, lots of different poppers. Actually, these two are the same. But my rainbow poppers are by far my kids' favorites. I still need to do a video for you guys exclusively on poppers and all the different things that we do with poppers. But there are also many different shapes. This one's a flower, but I also have an elephant and a couple of other ones. This is something that you actually put it on your finger and you let it balance. I got this at the dollar store. But again, it's something that's got a couple of different textures and they like to play with it. And then a lot of times, at least at the end of the session, if not between stuff, I let them practice balancing it on their finger. I have a couple of just the little bitty erasers that come in different shapes. These, they like to stick them on their finger and just roll them back and forth. This is just a little hair tie, nothing fancy. This, Paw Patrol. But again, they can stick it on their finger, and as long as their hands are moving, many of mine are able to focus. So that's why we have that. A little bitty unicorn. I have no idea even where this came from, but it's little and Ellie likes to hold it. This is another one of those ball things I got. It also lights up. I got at the checkout counter somewhere. And then a slinky that has certainly seen its better days, but there it is. And sometimes we use this for blending and segmenting and stuff too, but it's more just there for a fidget. Okay, so those are the things that have been in my bucket. But it is July and it is beginning of teachers getting ready for back to school. So our wonderful Target has all of these resources for teachers right now. I hit up the dollar spot this weekend and I would like to show you some of the fun things that I found. I found timers, these little sand timers, and they have different times. So they have a 1 minute, a 2 minute, and a 3 minute. I have not used these with my students yet because I just bought them this weekend, but I'm very excited to have these because my students thrive on timers. And my daughter Ellie has thrived on a timer for a very long time. I think I've shown you the red timer that we have that's a visual, where the red part gets smaller and smaller as the time goes on. We use those all the time. We use them on road trips, and we use it all the time for everybody's sanity. But I'm really excited to try these because I do timed reading fluency passages, and so I think that these will be helpful for that. They'll also be helpful for, okay, we can play a game for 3 minutes and then transition to something else. There's so many things you can do with it. All right, dice. So I do a lot, most of my tutoring is reading related, but I do some math tutoring as well. And so I got these because dice are amazing and you can do so many things with dice. So be creative. Something as simple as like this dice, I think has 9 sides on it, 8 sides on it, and roll it and tell the kid, okay, however many rolls on 7, then you got to jump 7 times. Sometimes just getting up or them knowing that at the end of when one of these timers go off that they are going to be able to get up and be active helps them stay controlled for the amount of time that you need them to be controlled for. So this little pack of dice, there are several different ones in there, and it's also a great way to throw in a little bit of math skills. Not going to hurt. Throw in a quick little roll 2 dice and tell me the answer, and then you can jump that many times or whatever. So they also have these, and these, I've never seen these before. They're dice with different tasks on them. Now you couldn't tell in the package, and I just opened them, but it looks like they are all the same. So I guess it's meant for in a classroom setting for each child to have their own. And they can roll it, and then they can stand beside their desk and do whatever it's asking you to do. There's jumping jacks, hop on 1 foot, arm climbers, not really sure what that is, crab walk, duck waddle, and flap your arms like a bird. So just another quick little way to get active. You can also have kids, if you're in a classroom setting or even one-on-one, have them tell you what a verb is. Have them give you a verb that they can act out, and then everybody in the class acts it out. So again, just schedule times or scheduled quick seconds. It doesn't have to take long, but sometimes that movement can be enough to keep them focused. One more thing or 2 more things that I use a lot are Play-Doh. Again, it's just something squishy that they can play with in their hands. I tell them as long as it doesn't, they don't make a mess or it doesn't get distracting, they can use it. And then the other one is something for their feet. Now I posted about the bands that you can put around the chairs, and I'm not going to lie, they drive me crazy. I have learned to accept them for my own child during her online tutoring, but I personally cannot imagine a whole classroom of those. So one thing that we started doing is putting a pillow under her feet, just a decorative pillow. And it gives her something to put her feet on, but you don't hear the constant tapping or the band going, back and forth. So we use a combination of them. Honestly, it depends on who's working with her. If I'm working with her, most of the time we use the pillow just because it doesn't drive me crazy. But anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I know my videos this month have been a little bit longer than normal, but there's just so much information to share with all of you. And so I hope that all of this has been helpful. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And feel free to post in the comments and share some tips and tricks that you use, because there are so many out there. And I think we can all use new tips and tricks to help us stay focused ourselves and to help our children stay focused.